Welcome to the second annual Halloween special of Rigor Mortis Paranormal. Tonight's episode includes a Halloween elf on a shelf, mischievous spirits in a school on a Halloween night, my little ghost brother, and more Halloween stories. I am David. This is Robert, Jasmine, Kory, Ian, and Mike.
Hello.
I almost said corny.
Not the first time.
Sorry.
Yeah, we got a guest in the house, man.
Yeah.
We got Miguelito here, our oldest brother, man.
Mr. Mike. Say hello, Mike.
Man, I'm sorry about the beer, man. I'm over here popping the beer.
I know you did that last time.
I opened it. It was like, oh, Ron Jeremy.
Ron Jeremy.
Hey, I didn't mind the fear in the eyes, man, but Ron Jeremy. No, right? It burns.
Anyway, man, and sorry about my voice. It's a little crackly here. We're doing this little jam session thing, and well, I was kind of yelling through the microphone, and so now my voice is a little choppy here.
Oh, yeah.
What do you guys call?
Man,
We don't really have a name, man. It's just like...
Jamming for now, right?
Yeah, jamming for now. Yeah, but...
Oh, you guys sound good.
we're kind of crispy right now. I mean, but like, we'll get it.
We could be called Ron Jeremy.
As you fellas know, this is our Ron Jeremy Halloween special.
we can call
Happy birthday.
we can be called the Rons.
No, man, but hey, our second Halloween special, man.
Yeah, there you go. He's coming.
Man, yeah.
Said the marriage wouldn't last.
Yeah, you know, really, we had a buddy of ours. I think his name was Placido.
Yeah.
I believe, I don't know if you
Yeah, that
remember.
was his name. Placido. Yeah,
Yeah.
Plas. Call him Plas for short.
And then what, crispy or what was it?
Oh, it was Crunch. Yeah. His sister's name was Crunch, and I forgot about that. That's another story.
That was
awful. No, that wasn't a real
But
name.
as soon as I said it, and the poor girl's sitting right there, and when they said it, I'm looking like I'm looking at you, and I bust out laughing at her because that poor baby, her skin was very, very dark brown, like chocolate,
like
and she had severe acne.
Yeah, look at the...
Oh my god, okay.
Look at the back of the Crunch bar. That's David.
Thanks for ruining
Exactly.
and not sad Rice Krispies.
Man, maybe we should-
candy bar after that. Crunch bar every
Oh my
Apple
God.
flavored Crunch bar. But anyway,
So severe editing this time.
Jesus Christ.
So what? It's
so
real.
yeah. Anyway,
No, I was just, well, anyway, he was a fat ass also. All our friends were fat, man.
no, but it was a good story. I know you were gonna.
Oh,
tell
yeah,
them,
okay.
It's a Halloween story.
I mean, seriously, we never had, we didn't even have enough to eat. We didn't have no candies to give away, so we always had the lights off. Ours was the ones that had the lights off, where, you know, the kids knew, don't go there. Like, but this time...
Don't get pecans.
I wouldn't have done that, no, but...
That probably would have been better than what
Halfway by the bullets on the ground.
No, this pendejo, he goes and he turns the front light on, and they knocked on the door, and he goes over there to the refrigerator, and we always had wieners. For some reason, we had wieners, man, in there. They were cold. He grabs one, he bites it, and then he opens the door real fast, and he just chucks it inside of the bag, like that, and then shuts the door. Man, inside the kid's Halloween bag. He bites a weenie and throws it inside the thing.
That was your
No, this is like Placido.
No.
Okay, so, man, you know what though, man? I was like, what the hell are you doing, man? We live here, right?
Now they're gonna leave.
He's slapping his ass off, and then, mira, ma, mira, ¿qué tiene aquí? And she's like, you can hear, aquí está tu pinche wiener. She's like, hit the door, and he's laughing his ass off, and I'm scared of the kid.
We needed that hot dog.
Like, hey, that's my dad's gun. Anyway, man,
There were a lot of good times there.
yeah, it
man.
was, man.
There you go. There was a lot of fun there, man.
Yeah, it was, man. I mean, what other story, man? The BB gun. Did we ever tell a story where you're trying to aim for the trimming around Dad's in the Falcon?
That's a good one.
That was another
we
story,
did say
though. But
that
yeah,
one, but
that's what I'm saying. All kinds of stuff, man. I was like,
There's a lot of goodies
God.
there, man. And but man, I miss that place too. And we had a lot of good times there. But You had one, didn't you?
Oh, yeah. Well, this was, we grew up in LA, and, oh man, this is horrible. But anyway, and it's kind of pointless, but, I mean, the end result is me getting the shit kicked out of me. But anyway, so we're trick-or-treating, and, you know, like you said, we didn't have no money, no nothing, whatever. In LA, we lived in, like, a super poor neighborhood. Anyway, so we're running door to door, physically running, give us candy, and we're trying to fill up the bags. And in LA, there was a bunch of alleys. Man, it was crazy with alleys. And so anyway, so we're running. And so me and Steve, I can't remember who else was with us, maybe like a friend. We run from one street, now we're running to the next street over, and we run through an alley. And then, and I'm like laughing, like whatever, you know, this is so much fun.
Yeah, I got candy.
Yeah, yay, I'm gonna eat it. Man,
Ration those things.
all of a sudden, I feel somebody push me down. Boom! I go down. The bag breaks, candy everywhere, and then all of a sudden, I'm getting the shit just kicked right out of me. There's people yelling at me, cussing me out. Hi, motherfucker, blah, blah, blah. And they're, you know, beating the shit out of me. And, you know, and I'm trying to protect myself or whatever. And it turned out it's 3 black girls, right? You know, and so they're beating the shit out of me. And then so, and then they get the candy, but they're still beating the shit out of me. Like, you know, we're just gonna finish this guy, right? Finish this guy. And so they're beating me up. And so Steve goes running. Boom, he takes off. And he goes and tells Pop, because it's like right there at the house. And then so Pop comes running out. And those girls are like wolves, like, oh crap, and they all run off. And then, you know, I'm laying there, and I ain't gonna lie, I'm laying there, I'm all beat up, and I'm crying. And I'm like really, like, sad, right? And no candy. You know, I work for that candy. And then, and so Pop is like, hey man, you know, what happened? What happened? And I said, I got beat up, and I'm like crying. And he goes, oh, okay, well, what happened? Where'd they go? Where are they? And then I said, they knocked me down, and, you know, they were beating me up, and they you know, they called me a fuckhead or whatever. And Steve is like, no, they called you a poopy head. I mean, I still remember that he's a poopy head. And then he goes, well, and Pop is like, man, we gotta straighten this shit out, right? Well, which way did they go? Where did they go? And how many? You know, because Pop's gonna take them on, right? There was 3 of them. And they really beat me up really bad. These 3, and well, what they look like? There's 3 girls in there, black. And Pop just goes, they were what? There were 3 girls. And he goes, 3 girls. 3 girls beat you up. And I was like, yeah. Like, no, yeah, that's my Halloween story.
What was it?
And it's a true story.
Or
True
did
story.
they just want your candy?
No, they just wanted the candy, but it was, I guess once they knocked me down, they're like, you know
That was a
what?
bonus.
Yeah. Let's just beat this guy up.
He's already crying.
Let's see if we can make him bleed. He's Mexican. Maybe he's a pinata. Maybe candy will come flying.
That might be candy out of them.
Something came out of me, but it wasn't candy.
It was poopy.
Anyway, true story. That actually, and Steve probably will tell you, that probably didn't get that beat up. Hey, man, I was scared, man. If you've ever been beaten up by
3 girls.
Yeah,
I'm so about to hit a woman.
I mean, I've been beat up before, but not by girls. Not by girls.
How old are
I'm gonna say I was maybe about 10.
And were they older than you?
Oh hell yeah, they must have been like 11.
I'm 11, so shut the fuck up.
I mean, they were trick or treating. Come on, man. You know, it's not like they were 20-year-olds. The mod squad out there.
Hey, plenty of adults trick or treat these days. It's
Well, yeah,
a
not
generation
those days.
gap.
No.
Now I know.
Jesus.
Thank you very much for that, Mike. You've added so much to this.
Hey, so that first story is actually really cool. It's at what was it? The Halloween Elf on a Shelf, which was pretty cool. The toys that were found in the attic. Toys in the attic too.
That's crazy, man.
Anyway, but yeah, it was a good story though, man. Check it out.
Oh yeah.
Alright guys, the story comes from Rafa. He's basically telling it from his brother. It's a story his brother-in-law had told him. And it says, my family moved into a new house in a small town in Texas called Fort Stockton. We unpacked and moved everything, leaving extra boxes and furniture in the garage. My daughter had noticed the attic door in the garage and pointed it out. Jokingly, I told her to go up there, and she quickly answered back, heck no. I pulled on the string hanging from the door and pulled the attic door open, insisting her, come on, don't be scared. She said, "You're crazy," and walked inside with the rest of the family to continue to unpack. As I was closing the door, I noticed 2 boxes in the attic and became curious on what was left in our new house. I climbed the ladder and pulled both boxes down. I took the boxes inside and explained to my wife what I had found and where they were. My wife didn't want anything to do with these boxes and had no curiosity of finding out what was inside of them. She repeatedly told me, "Put those boxes back. It could be something nasty and creepy, and I don't want to find out." Being as stubborn as I am, I wanted to open the boxes. The first box contained some Halloween decorations and what looked to be an infant-sized homemade stuffed doll with a very creepy kind of plush jack-o'-lantern type head. The second box contained some infant clothing from what seemed to be the 80s or the 90s. I shuffled through the infant clothing and came across what looked like an urn and some sort of old beige candle. At that point, I covered it up and left the boxes there, and I went to help my wife unpack. There was no way I was telling my wife about the urn, knowing she would not be happy with me. The next morning, I saw my wife going through the boxes. She raised the urn and asked me, "Honey, is this a fucking urn?" I told her, "I have no idea. It looks like one." She yelled for me to put the boxes back. So I went to pack what she took out of the boxes and noticed the creepy jack-o'-lantern doll wasn't in there, and neither was the candle. I asked my wife if she might have removed them and put them somewhere else, and she said, "Hell no, I ain't touching that shit. Get it out of here." I asked my children the same question, and they had no idea what I was talking about. So I packed the boxes back in the attic where they were before. I dropped the subject of the items being lost immediately. If my wife thought this house was haunted, even a little bit, we were definitely going to end up looking for a new house, which I couldn't afford by any means. We moved into our newly bought house, and in mid-June, and a few months went by, and it's now late September, and I'm starting to buy new Halloween decorations and pulling them out. The morning of October 1st, I hear my kids in the living room. "Oh wow, Dad, this is really creepy." Knowing I hadn't decorated anything except for the front yard, I went to the living room to see what they were talking about. On the mantle rests a creepy plush jack-o'-lantern doll and a lit-up dirty beige candle. I told the kids, "Very funny, guys. How long have you been hiding those?" They both looked at me with expressions of utter confusion. My 9-year-old daughter answered, "What the heck are you talking about, Dad?" I thought to myself, are my 9-year-old and 6-year-old son really capable of pulling off a prank like this? Then I went and asked my wife if she really thought this was funny. He had the same expression as his children and answered just as confused. Curiosity got the best of my wife, so she went to see what I was rambling about. When she noticed the items on the mantle, she asked where I had gotten these dolls because it looked creepy and dirty, and she didn't like it. I remembered she hadn't even seen these items in the boxes. I told her I would get rid of them. I climbed back in the attic and packed the items. The next morning I woke up for work and noticed a faint light coming from the living room. There it was, a dirty light beige candle, but no signs of the jack-o'-lantern. I went to the kitchen to grab a cup of coffee, and when I opened the cupboard, a dirty plush doll fell into my arms. I couldn't explain this anymore, so I bugged my kids to tell me the truth. Nobody in the house knew what I was going on about, and my wife started to panic. Every morning the doll would appear somewhere else in the house, and the candle relit on the mantle. And every morning I returned the items into the box in the attic. My wife and children started searching for the doll in the morning, always finding it somewhere else. My kids thought it was some sort of game. My daughter even stated, "This is fun, Dad. What you're doing, it's like Halloween Elf on a Shelf." I told her, "It's not me, baby girl." After my wife heard she wasn't having it anymore and wanted to look for a new house, I panicked and told her, "Honey, I just don't want to ruin it for the kids. I'm doing this." I said, knowing very well something crazy was going on. My wife noticed one day that the wax on the candle never melted, and it was weird because it was relit every morning. She even asked where I bought it, and I told her from a yard sale, along with the jack-o'-lantern doll. Halloween finally came, and on the morning of Halloween I had noticed the same lit candle on the mantle almost melted completely, and the creepy dirty plush jack-o'-lantern doll returned to its original spot on the mantle next to the candle. I packed the items again, and we went on about our Halloween trick-or-treating. When I returned from taking the kids trick-or-treating, I decided I needed to throw these boxes in the trash, somewhere far away from my house, because I couldn't have these incidents happening past Halloween, knowing my wife would catch on again. I went to the attic and the 2 boxes were gone. Nobody knew what happened to them. I still live in the same house a year later and it's coming up on October again. I have actually started checking my empty attics in the garage just to see if the boxes return. I'm still not sure what's going on, but there has been nothing strange since October of last year, and I would like to keep it that way. I know the story seems peculiar and far-fetched. I don't expect anybody to believe it, but it happened, and that creepy-ass doll will forever be burned into my mind.
All right, and that was a Halloween Elf on the Shelf. Man, crazy story.
Interesting, man.
That was crazy, man.
I like that.
It's almost like when I talk about like an item being embodied by a spirit or something like that.
What happened, like, if somebody, I mean, obviously...
Yeah, what the
somebody passed
backstory
away,
was. Yeah.
But...
Oh, you're saying, I wonder if I know we kind of talked about a little bit the...
of Halloween time-wise, because it just keep coming out.
Especially
or,
with
like,
the candle.
Yeah, and it was only going on, the way you described it, only going on during the month of October.
Yeah.
And after the Halloween, it was just the boxes.
Yeah, the boxes disappeared by themselves. What the shit was that, man? I mean, that was one that I couldn't get a grasp on either. Like, whether it being demonic or like residuals, like we talk about,
it was
just like.
It seemed residual because nothing really happened.
Didn't seem to interact with them at all, really.
Yeah, but okay. This is the thing that kind of trips us all up. Is at the end he said it's coming up on Halloween. If that shit happens again, I want to know too. I really want to find out. Then what do you call that? Is that? Well, yeah, obviously residual, but I'm just saying, is that a demonic force at work? Because he didn't get rid of the shit, first of all. He left it at home, right? He kept it. Obviously, if you're going to keep it there, not like on our last story when the lady had the doll and she got rid of it right away, okay. That was a haunted item, okay. But, man, Chief Wig, I'm breathing right here, man. I'm talking and I'm getting tired. Like,
It could be my breathing.
No, man. I'm talking like, wait, hold on. Too many sentences and I'm breathing. But that's what trips me out. It's like, that story, I thought it was fucking awesome, man.
Yeah, that was an awesome story, man.
Man.
You know what? Didn't the candles keep lighting up, right?
They're saying like every morning it was relit, but it never melted or something.
Until Halloween.
Until Halloween morning
But what else did they find?
It was
the
just,
jack-o'-lantern was moving on.
What else was in?
Oh, you know what? The urn.
Yeah, the urn.
So that's why somebody. I mean, obviously, they opened the urn.
I know.
Yeah, right.
You know what I was thinking too?
Was it empty? Yeah. What was it?
Well, what about
just Smarties?
I like Smarties. It's Mike's missing candy.
Oh, I know. Yeah, I wonder who lived there before. Man, but
let's eat those under the hot dog.
Yeah, I know.
It just says face everywhere.
All over the walls. That's horrible.
Oh, that is horrible.
We were cleaning out the very first time. It was
It's still here.
yeah, well, it is still here, but
We have an urn here.
Oh, wow.
They had it in the. They left it here too.
Damn.
I mean, man, that's some shit, right?
somebody was trying to convince us that it was like a licorice shaker. I was like, no, I've seen licorice shaker. I don't know the name of it, but I've seen them before.
I mean,
That's what the shit. That's all about this big, man. It's like a vase. There's gray ashes in there. I mean, you must have been a real asshole for them to say, like, hey, are we going to take that with us, right? You know,
That's one thing we can leave.
fuck it.
Grandpa's ashes. It was a cult. They don't leave us nothing. A vase. Get him put candy.
A bunch of old people candy too.
You take one candy and they're all together, right? I can't get it out of the urn. It's stuck. Yeah, there's too many.
A bunch of ribbon.
Yeah, ribbon candy. There you go.
That shit was good.
Werther's. Old people candy.
I like those candies.
I'm an old people.
I keep thinking about the candles, though. I mean, how they're lighting up like every morning. Right?
No, but like, and the candles
I could be skinny.
For some reason, man, when you were talking about the candle right now, I don't know if y'all remember this. In the haunted house that we lived in over there,
That was
Burton.
Yeah, we just said it. Burton. Yeah.
That was Burton.
Yeah.
It was Burton and Cantrell, I think. It's that.
yes, it was.
Okay. we never had. Okay, to me, I thought it was good times too because we would be having the camps in the back, but we didn't have no choice. We didn't have
stuff got burned down. Man, it was fun.
No, yeah, we were talking about that shit, but we didn't have. We would cook outside because we didn't have light or gas. But you know what's cool because we were all hanging and stuff like that. Well, about the candle. Here we go, man. This is a funny story. I just remembered about it. But we didn't have no light, man. I had to take a shit in the restroom, of course, and I'm like, what, 5, 4?
I still remember that bathroom.
Yeah, but there was no windows in there.
No.
So you had to go with a candle.
Yeah.
Mom always had the candle on the back.
Yeah.
When you went in with the matches. You turned on the candle. It was on the back of the bowl.
Candle?
Yeah, it was on the back of the tank. So some genius put the toilet. You had to find the most potent one. Put peppermint or something. Yeah, menthol. That's what we needed there. But man, so somebody put the toilet paper up there by the candle. Well, here I am, man. I'm over there going to town, right, man? And not only that, man. What was sad about that is because it was hot. Yeah. So I would get butt naked. I'd take my socks off, man. I'd be in there. It'd be hot, boy. I'd be like, damn. So anyway, I was in there just like a fat little kid just sitting on the toilet, my feet dangling. Dude, I turn around to get the toilet paper, right, and my elbow. It hits the damn the candle. The candle falls in the trash can for some reason. Okay, you don't remember this? We never flushed.
That makes me a toilet paper.
It was probably newspaper. That's why it so bad.
The phone book. Back then, you needed the phone book. You had to have a phone book.
The thing is, man, it just like engulfed because we didn't flush our toilet paper. Because we threw it in the baskets, man. So that thing the methane lit up quick. I remember I just turned around and I was like, I didn't wipe nothing, man. Just took off running, man. And I remember you and Steve were like, hey, what the? It's on fire, bud. But it was funny as hell, man.
Oh my
I was
God.
trying to take the candle. It's like toilet paper stuck to the can. We were making light of that poor man. But anyway, that was an awesome story, man.
Was a mess up house.
Yeah, that was.
Yeah, I mean, I think I mentioned before that when we left, like the sink was clogged. I remember that, and this is a long story. We accidentally burned down the garage in the back.
That was all.
Yeah. Okay, maybe it wasn't y'all, but yeah.
Yeah, we were bringing
There was like maybe a couple of little tinder sticks, and then the couch that was in there and everything else, the tires, everything was gone. It was gone. So the guy's like, y'all gotta go. And what happened was, Ma, we were still living there, so she's trying to make it habitable or whatever. And she took a whole thing of liquid plumber or whatever they had back then, and put it in the sink. And then she put a bunch of like hot water. You put hot water, and hopefully, Well, so the landlord comes along and he's like, "Hey, you guys got to get out of here or whatever. You can't live here no more." We lived across the street. We moved across the street. And then so me and Steve went back to go get the bikes, and we're getting the bikes, and then the landlord's there, and just like nodding his head, like, "Man, look what they did to my house." And then he goes, "Where are you going?" Yeah. He goes, "Where are you going with them bikes?" And we're like, "Oh, they're our bikes." And he goes, "Well, not no more. They're my bikes now, right?" And we're like, "Well, okay." You're like, "Well, I guess he's bigger than us." And so we, well, we'll leave him there. And then he goes, "You know what? Take your." Well, I'll say stinking bikes because not everybody cussed us out back then. And we had to go through the house with bikes, right? And we go through and we look in the sink where Ma had put the whole thing of liquid plumber with water. Again, another story that can be validated with Steve. And there's a rat in there with like no hair on his body. Yeah. I mean, I'm sure he fell into that sink and he was like, "Oh, what the hell?" I mean, he was embalmed, man. Poor dude. And I was like, "Who's gonna fix that? Because we're leaving."
Oh man, that's so crazy.
Yeah.
Is that where we had
the
to
Burton
walk?
house.
When we walk, is that what we were carrying? We had to carry all our furniture down the street to the new house.
Yeah, that's it.
It was all like it was garbage. It wasn't even furniture.
Yeah, it wasn't. Yeah.
I remember.
Rolling the table.
Yeah, our table was a spool that came off.
Yeah, that's right. It was a spool, a big spool, yeah. And the clothes, we didn't put them in bags, we just had them in the drawers. So we took all the drawers one by one, and then we took the box part of the drawer over there. Yeah.
That's horrible, man.
Yeah, man, that's crazy. That's good times, though, man. Shit, good times. Anyway,
Yeah, good story, Rafa.
Yeah, great story.
Rafa, that's a good story, my friend.
We got so sidetracked.
What do we got next there,
Yeah,
man?
next story. What do we got? Let's see. The spirits in the school on Halloween night. So yeah, that was the one about the.
Oh yeah,
There was some little kids and stuff like that, and a bunch of other things I think happening at the school. To the janitor. Air quotes.
Custodian.
Yeah, the maintenance engineer, man. There you go.
There you go.
There you go.
This next story comes from Javier, and he is also from San Antonio. Javier writes, "Hey guys, my name is Javier, and I'm from San Antonio also. I just discovered your podcast. It's awesome." He spelled awesome in all caps. Look at that.
Nice.
Nice. No, Javier.
Or cap word.
Yeah, yeah. No, Javier, it's you. You are the awesome one. Yes, sir.
Oh, yeah.
No, I love that shit though.
Yeah.
I mean, it gives me goosebumps.
that's nice.
It is.
Yeah,
It keeps us going. So you're all right, Javier. We were thinking about retiring, but fuck, after those caps,
You know what? Those caps?
yeah, that made it. That made it right there.
I know, right?
All right.
Thanks for that.
No, really, seriously,
No
yes.
one's ever gonna compliment us. Ever again.
Well, I haven't heard one in a while,
assholes.
man. I haven't heard on. Dad, you guys suck. I can't believe y'all are still on the air, right? I was like, but all right. Anyway, I have a story for you. He writes. About 15 years ago, I worked in a haunted elementary school located here in town. I was a janitor, or the proper term, custodian. Man, I've been through that. Know that. Laugh out loud. He writes. It was me and another guy named Eddie. We worked the night shift. Most teachers and staff would be gone from the building at around 6 p.m. unless there was a school function. We would lock all doors and make sure the school was clear. Well, like I said, strange things would happen at this school. Some nights we could hear people talking in the library when everyone was gone. When we opened the library doors and turned on the lights, no one was in there. Another time, Eddie told me he was cleaning one of the restrooms when he heard a little boy humming, and what he said sounded like someone taking a piss. He checked the restroom stalls, but no one was in them. Sometimes when I was working in the hallways, from the corner of my eye, I could see a shadow of a person moving down the hallway. Things like this were always happening. Well, one night, it got downright scary. It was Halloween night and Eddie had called in sick, which was bullshit because he was going to the same Halloween party I was going to after work. Man, I've had that. That sucks, man. Well, it sucked because I had to clean Eddie's area too. So I started working as fast as I could. When it started to get dark outside, I started to lock down the building. It started to feel creepy. As I passed the library, I started hearing those voices again. It sounded like several people talking, but you couldn't make out what they were saying. I opened the door and turned on the lights, and just like before, nothing. I tried to ignore it. I started to sweep in one of the classrooms, and all of a sudden, I heard a huge commotion from the classroom directly above me. It sounded as if all the students' desks and furniture was pushed from one side of the classroom to the other. Then there was a loud banging in the hallway upstairs. I started to panic. I thought there was an intruder in the building tearing up shit. I made it to the teacher's lounge and called the school district police and went outside to wait for them. When they arrived, I told them what was going on. They asked me for my keys and told me to wait downstairs while they checked the upstairs wing. I noticed it was quiet now. The officers returned and said everything was fine and nothing was out of place. One officer told me that they had been called out to the school before on similar calls and that he thought the school was haunted. The officer said if I had any more problems to call, and they left. I took the elevator with my cleaning supplies to the second floor and entered the classroom where I heard all the commotion. And like the police said, everything was normal. Finally, I was done cleaning and I just wanted to get the hell out of the building. When I got to the elevators, the doors should have opened up quickly, but it was coming up from the first floor. But it shouldn't have because I was the last one off the elevator, so it should have opened up on the second floor. It couldn't have been the officers because I watched them leave. I secured the doors again in the building. Well, the elevator made it to the second floor, and if things weren't creepy enough, when the doors opened, there was an old photo of the school when it was first built back in 1943. I picked it up, and when I got to the first floor, I left it on one of the counters. How it got there, I do not know, but it wasn't there on the ride up. I thought that somebody was pulling a Halloween prank on me, but no one was in the school but me. I put my cleaning supplies away and took my trash to the dumpster outside. As I was walking to the dumpster, I looked at the room where I heard all the commotion earlier from outside. At that moment, I heard 4 loud bangs on the window like someone was trying to get my attention. I know no one was in the building, so who the hell was banging on the window? I had enough. I emptied the trash, went inside, put my shit up, set the alarm, and got the hell out of there, promising to kick Eddie's ass the moment I saw him. I worked there for about 2 more years, and it's weird because things seemed to die down a little. When I would be working in the school by myself, I would notice that's when weird things would happen. I hope to hear my story on your show. Thanks, guys.
That was a good story, man.
Yeah, that was. And that was pretty neat. A lot of stuff happened there, man. The place is crazy.
Why do elementary schools seem so
Well, I mean, I can only imagine because...
Elementary schools? They're so creepy that I guess it's...
I know, right? Why is it always the elementary schools,
And
too,
night
man?
shift, there's probably not very many... I mean, it's probably nobody there, right?
So
it's
why is it never a high
creepy as
school?
hell.
Shouldn't be, yeah.
I've been. I went to my high school once during the weekend. No one was there. It was super dark. It was creepy, man. I didn't feel safe at all walking down walking by myself at all. I mean, it's just like, thanks.
A lot of times they just leave the
Sex traffickers.
oh.
What the hell?
And Ron Jeremy.
In high school.
Only in high schools.
They leave those when they shut the lights on. Those night lights come out. They're not all of. They're like 2 or 3, and so you can still see. And that does make it creepy because like you'll be on one side of the hallway, and you can see all the way down. And like there was one particular school. I'm not gonna give the name, but it was a high school where I would look, and it was in the library, and it was pitch black in there, but you could see the doors. And I was always like, God, they'd be
Yeah,
kind of
libraries
creepy.
are creepy too.
Oh yeah, man, the restrooms. Yeah, the restrooms are. Well, don't even get started with restrooms. Yeah, those are creepy too. But like, because they have some here in San Antonio, we have several haunted schools. The school that I was at, it was named after a teacher who supposedly gave her life and devotion to the school. That was her life. When she passed away, they renamed the school and her name. I'm not gonna give that one either, but later on, I think in 2003, they did remodeling, and they did another wing and all that. And I know that happens sometimes. Well, no, she's buried in. Yeah, she had a great burial. But that's what I'm saying is like, you know how they say, oh my Lord, yeah, Ron Jeremy found her. Yeah, someone was gonna say it. That might as well be me, right?
That was a long week.
Oh, man. But that's what I'm saying is, you know, like when you hear they start, because we've done these before, and especially the schools, we did the haunted schools.
Yeah.
But when they started remodeling and stuff like that, I know that they don't like, you know, if you have a spirit there, they don't like that. going back to like the maintenance engineers working late, man, you always saw something kind of crazy at night, whether it be, to me, it was more creepy from the people that were in the hood, because there were some pretty bad neighborhoods that were some of the schools that I had to, man, to walk all the way to that dumpster, man, you would be kind of creeped out just by that alone. So to deal with, ghosts, man, that's just icing on the cake.
Bonus.
But that's
ghosts.
But it's not only us. We have we have a lot of schools that are really old, and I'm sure they harbor some kind of history or something. So that's kind of, I don't know. Okay, Javier, thanks for that story.
And thanks for calling us awesome.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
All caps.
Yeah. That's right.
But anyway, what do we got next? The sobering thoughts, right?
You guys need to get a little more sobered up.
No.
It's a long time coming, I gotta say. Okay. Well, and I will mention too, I wasn't mentioned in the introduction at all.
I thought
Yes, you did.
No, he didn't say. He just said tons of other Halloween stories.
No, he said your name.
Really?
Oh.
No.
No, your name, but not the
segment.
segment.
No, not my segment. My segment wasn't mentioned.
Oh, no, I
Oh man, we need.
I didn't-
That's a gimme.
Y'all are trying to-
segments in every episode.
No, y'all are just trying to cut me out of this.
No.
I know what's going on here.
Well, only because you were writing
Conspiracy, guys.
you're writing today's sobering thoughts as I was doing the intro, so
What?
I don't know what it was about.
No.
So were you
Come on.
really here?
We're supposed to
Behind the
get to
scenes
the intro,
drama, guys.
though, right? Too like that. Actually, Jasmine's supposed to do it.
Da-da, da-da,
This is today.
da-da, Ian's Corner.
It's technically sobering thoughts, though, but I mean, I just corner. I didn't catch that last time though. But
I said it's Ian's corner.
That's how you know.
We wanted to surprise her. Surprise!
What you got this week, though? What
What you got? What you got?
It's time for
Okay, this week we're gonna talk about Ship of Theseus.
Say what?
Ship of Theseus, aka
Who's the
Theseus.
drunk one now?
I feel like I'm more sober than you.
No kidding.
Also known as Theseus'
One
paradox.
story.
So what this is a thought experiment that focuses on whether or not an object that has had all of its parts replaced is fundamentally the same as before all of its components were replaced. So the example typically given is focused on a ship that has been restored by replacing every single wooden part of the same ship. It comes from Plutarch's Life of Theseus, which is part of Parallel Lives, otherwise known as Plutarch's Lives, which is a series of biographies of famous Greek and Roman men. Interesting read if anyone's interested in Greek and
So
Roman.
in layman's terms.
Right. Layman's terms is just like.
We got a heckler in the audience.
What are you talking
I
about?
was just getting to it.
I hear some breaks going.
Another example is lock socks. A bit more modern example is
Lock
this,
socks.
LOCKE. Locks socks. It's the same fundamental question, which it's just you have a sock, you get a hole in it, and you patch the hole, and you keep getting holes in it until there's none of the original sock left. Is it still the same sock? That's the basic question that's being posed.
Patch your socks. What year is this?
I feel bad. You know what? Sometimes Paul Engel goes out, buys more socks. It happens.
It's probably when you guys are kids. I don't know. Not blow. I'm sorry.
That's my mom you're talking about.
Hold on, I don't know. Okay, let's say the Alamo, right? Alamo.
Okay, sure.
That's been restored, right?
yeah,
that's
and
true.
they have new. There's AC in there for.
Yeah, I know.
So,
I mean, I'd hope so. It's the
yeah,
21st
there's AC.
century.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It's not.
Baby crying,
It's
like,
not.
what the-
Yeah, it's like, man, hey.
No,
Wait a minute.
I'm not fighting
That was the
here.
animal. They didn't have AC.
I'm not fighting. I'm not standing
Yeah,
with you.
man.
It's too hot in there. Let him shoot me.
No, but you're right though.
But that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it? Okay, obviously it's not the same.
Is that like matter of opinion, or is it like?
No.
I would think no, it's not the same.
It's still there's so many people that come visit it
Yeah.
as the Alamo. It's a historical place.
Right.
Okay,
But it's
somewhere
got
like
AC
the Alamo,
now, so it's
like,
not the same
ground
one.
is the same, like where they fought, but not the actual Alamo.
The building.
Yeah.
The building.
right?
Well, the
It's not the
building, it's. I don't even know if it's got the same bricks in there.
That's
I'm
what
sure
I'm
it does.
saying.
Some of them, yeah, I mean, they say that some of them are like original.
I'm sure some pieces are, but I
They've
mean,
been
there's
restored,
so
I'm
little
sure.
bit that, yeah.
Like,
Well, we're using that as an example. Okay,
Yeah.
let's take that. Okay, it's not obviously it's not the same back in 1836 or I don't know whenever they built it back in 1700. I don't know.
Better guess not what I had.
1492.
Yeah. But obviously it's not the same because it's not gonna hold up. But well, let's go on to another one.
Why don't we
How
let
about the
Ian go
pyramids?
into it a little bit more?
Yeah, you know what?
I
Yeah.
mean, you guys actually made my next point for me. Like that's one of the main practical reasons for this thought experiment is restoration projects. A lot of times people are like, does this devalue the product that we're actually restoring it? Is this making it more or less valuable because it's not the same original parts? And if not, how do we preserve it? Like so that's kind of like the whole point of it, is trying to figure out, will this still fundamentally be the same thing afterwards?
Yeah.
Okay, so like for instance, like Kory's Camaro that he used to have, it wasn't the same stock part, so
Interior
it
was
wasn't
redone and
as
Right.
It's not as
Well,
valuable.
that's
valuable.
Well, you know what?
That- no.
Actually, let's go. Let's extrapolate. Kory's skin cells, Kory's organs. Everything's being, built, torn apart,
Yeah.
worn out,
True.
and built
Exactly.
again.
Oh,
I
he's
still
still the
Kory?
same person.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, man, there you go.
Yeah.
Man, that's
I
getting
never thought
deeper.
about that. Yeah. Okay.
No,
Such a
yeah.
medical
Okay.
thing to say.
But like, we were gonna say the
Suddenly
same
I'm
thing.
sober.
Every time. But
You
that's
know
the
what?
thing.
You seriously just changed my mind because I was like, no, it can't be. It's different.
Now that
And-
makes
but Kory's
sense.
still the same person.
Maybe not from yesterday, but okay, but like okay,
Let's go back into dad stories.
Let's go to another one. Yeah.
Simpler times.
The pyramids. Now those were just brushed off, but those still have the. And also, what are those? Stonehenge. Those are the
Yeah.
same
Oh,
thing.
yeah.
So those are still the same. So
Right,
like
that's true.
like
Compare that to a dinosaur. A dinosaur, you know what they do? I mean, they find a jawbone, and then
Oh, yeah.
with that, they reconstruct all this whole dinosaur around that, and all the bones are fake. Everything's fake
Yeah.
on it except for the jawbone.
Except maybe
So
part of the jaw.
that's exactly how the dinosaurs look. It's not
Right.
the
Yeah,
dinosaurs.
exactly.
and then it's got wires in there also, so that's not.
Yeah.
So I guess on yours it would be depending on what it is, but like the like he said, he went back to the medical term, so Kory's still
Yeah.
Kory, but like if you go back to, oh, you know what I'm saying, we're all us, that we're not the same.
That's weird because
Every 7 years, so don't you?
Oh, there
Doesn't
you go.
Yeah,
New
like,
Kory
maybe you're a
every
new
7 years.
person every 7 years?
every 7 years you
But
have
I'm
a
still getting old.
completely
You
new
seem-
set of cells in your body,
they're
right?
Preaching
You
the
are
choir,
quite
my
different
friend.
from 7 years ago.
Well, my hair can't just replace itself.
There you go. Yeah.
How about like a snake when a snake sheds its skin?
Yeah, oh,
is it
true.
still a new? Is it a brand new skin? It's
A
brand new
brand new
skin, but
snake.
it's not the brand new snake.
Oh, this is so confusing.
But see, with the sock, it's all new materials.
It's
They
a
patched
mind
it all up.
blower.
It's all new material. The old material's already.
None of the original material remains. At least with your body, a lot of the same stuff is. You have the same DNA sequencing. I mean, it's not.
Well,
Like-
we don't know, Mike. Is that right?
Well, I was gonna say maybe the sequence, but it's not the same DNA.
That's true.
Except for Debbie.
Right.
Debbie is their sister.
Yeah, she's exactly the same.
You're awesome, but I'm not dating
Yeah.
son.
I love my sister.
No, but yeah, so I read up on a few solutions on it, which I don't know. They were too complicated where I couldn't dumb them down. No, but there was one solution though that I actually read and I fully comprehended it, and I really liked that idea, that explanation of it. And it was proposed by Ted Sider, among others, but that was the name that was listed there. Which they proposed that considering objects to extend across home as four-dimensional causal series of three-dimensional time slices, because all four-dimensional objects remain numerically identical to themselves while allowing individual time slices to differ from each other, is will provide a solution to this. Now, I know I see
No.
the looks on your faces.
I totally get it.
I see the looks on your
just-
faces.
I agree.
So hold on.
I agree.
Also, I didn't write that too clearly, so I kind of stumbled a little bit. But the general idea is, think of a river, for example, right? You can step into it more than once, and it's
But it's
still
not
the
the
same
same
river.
water.
But the water is different, exactly. So the river is like the same it's the same river over time. But time is what the fourth dimension is, right? So if you look at so it's hard to explain, but
Actually, I was going to ask that. What's the fourth dimension?
the fourth dimension is time.
Okay.
And so if you were to look at a slice of time, which is just a snapshot of one moment, by my understanding, that's what they call the time slices in their explanation. It's just a snapshot of everything there at that one moment. You're stepping into the river, and all the particles in the river, all the water is the exact same in that moment. But you step out of the river and you step back in, even like a second later, it's a different time slice, using air quotes,
Right.
it's a different second in time, it's a different snapshot of that river, and it's not the same river. But throughout all the time slices together, you add them up and it's the same river throughout time, is how they explained it.
Dude, that's...
It is. I was laughing at that. I thought that was it. I love the.
I'm using
air quotes. I love that
I bet he's using air quotes.
So you're saying like there is a point in time where it does become the same.
Because too, like,
There's a point in time where it becomes the same. It's if you look at it throughout time, it's the same body of water. Or it's not the same body of water, but it's the same river. It's a river. That's
Well,
it
I
is the
understand
same
what
river.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, but and then too, but maybe it may not be the same because you stepped in it. Okay, you have all that settlement. You move
Yeah.
those rocks. The
water that's
fish
going
that were
through
there
there.
yesterday, they moved downstream.
Exactly.
So, man, that's man.
I mean, and that's not, from what I can tell, that's not a universally agreed upon solution to this thought experiment. That's just one that I happen to like, that I thought I
So it
would
is
bring
a
up.
matter of opinion.
I guess
okay.
until the philosophers figure it out, yeah.
But that too is like who you asked to because that is it is what this topic that you picked. It is big because let's say we go back to the cars.
Yep.
Like obviously, if you find like the real true collectors, they want to see matching
Yeah.
numbers and stuff like
Original,
that. Yeah.
If it's restored, it's
Yeah,
that's valuable.
exactly. But then you have
That's what most items, period.
but then you have somebody that they like specialties. Like say they want
they want air conditioner.
yeah, you know, and let's say that you gotta okay, you have a GTO.
Yeah.
But you want to make it into a high-powered street rod, right?
Yeah.
So you're gonna want all those.
Or even
goodies
just
on
12 volt instead of 6 volt.
Yeah.
Even more to that, yeah, because that's. But you know what, though, you're right about that. Like most of us would want that, but like a lot of folks, like going like
Yeah,
you said with the
purists.
matching numbers. But it just depends who you. That's why I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's one of those stories that man, I don't know where to go on that.
Right.
Because that's,
It seems like it is.
Confusing as
Yeah.
the face.
Is it almost like
Recognition, the face recognition
a
was
comic book
confusing.
or an action figure, and if it's not open, it's more valuable than.
Right.
When
That's
it is
true.
It's still the same thing.
It's still the
now
same
it's
thing.
open.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I don't know. I kind of see. It seems to me like it's more a matter of opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I see the body of water.
Everybody
It's
has their
still. It's in the same location. It's the same
Right.
body. It's not the same body of water, but it's.
Because you start
Not the same
mentioning
river.
time, well, then it's never going to be the same.
Yeah.
If you bring time into the equation,
Right.
it's always going to be
yeah,
different.
because it depends like erosion
Time.
and everything else that they have to restore it.
Yeah.
So you have to constantly be putting new parts and new materials adding to it.
So if you watch Stranger Things, there's 2 dimensions.
Serious. Cut that Stranger Things out.
That's right.
All right. No, but I just wanted to say though, like, so the idea behind that solution was though that the body of water, the river, it has the same identity throughout time, but you can look at it in different snapshots of time and say it's completely different. Is the idea behind that solution?
what is your
So basically, what you're saying is, if it was, it had alterations, is it still the same thing?
what is
That's
your
so
opinion
common.
on that?
Honestly, it's really hard for me to.
Depending on the situation and what it is, right?
Yeah, because another thing too is that they use in sci-fi a lot. They'll use similar thought experiments where like a person's getting parts of their bodies removed until like none of the original. Not removed, replaced by like robotic limbs or transplants or whatever until none of the original thing is there.
Cloning.
So would you consider that the same?
Yeah, so like if you're cloning, let's say it's a perfect clone.
Yeah.
Is that still, it's a perfect clone, but let's say
Everything's the same.
Yeah, you know,
But it's
or
not the
I'm just
actual
saying,
it's
you know.
not the original.
Or
Yeah.
so what if you put?
Yeah, that's what
Which
I'm
I
saying.
don't
Like,
think. So don't correct me, Mike, because I know it's probably.
oh, here it comes. Wait, y'all are getting in my
in a
expertise.
different person, you know?
Oh yeah, what do you put somebody's
It
brain in
depends if
another
it's
person?
Ron Jeremy.
Will that make me Ron Jeremy?
No. Okay, that's the
I know what happened if you put his brain in my head. Oh no!
What the fuck happened?
He's got all the blubber.
But no more movies.
our answer. Basically, it's no.
Well, so yeah, to answer your question about where I stand on this, I'll leave it up to the philosophers to figure out
Because that's
not
a
mine.
deep. Because I think even they don't know. Because
Yeah.
if you really get deep down inside, and like it is a matter, like the way Dave said,
Yeah.
that is a matter of opinion.
Yeah.
And it's I guess and that in preference, I guess, like how you want to,
Yeah,
you know.
true.
But like you still are finding like I don't know why I said the pyramids. I mean,
I don't
like
know.
they find those, they restored them, they dusted them off.
Well, you know,
They're
they
the
do
same
restore
rocks
them
there.
too, though. Honestly,
Yeah,
I mean, they do
do
have to
some
restore them.
restoration. Yeah,
But those rocks are not gonna move. They're so heavy. They're still there. They're the same rocks. So those are the same. But like,
Are they? I'm just kidding.
you know what?
That's a good.
Yeah.
I mean, because with erosion, I mean, I don't know. You never know. They may put plaster on there
That's
and make
true
it look.
too. That wind was blowing. Yeah, you never know. So
I don't
yeah, they you know what? And then too, there's lights in there.
Oh,
They
yeah,
got lights in
right.
there. And,
True.
and AC.
And see, there is AC in there.
Yeah.
So,
So
I mean,
there you
it's-
go. I mean, it's not the same as it was thousands of years or 2, 3
But
years.
there's still the Gaza pyramids or whatever they're called. I mean, they're fundamentally the same. You could make that argument. It's just got the pyramids.
Stonehenge.
Stonehenge.
But then those two, like maybe, like I'm thinking.
They restore the
Yeah.
Stonehenges?
I would imagine because like
sure
if you
they
have
do.
somebody there, and like
there's gotta be
there's gotta be a bolt going down. Like, hey man, we really can't trust that thing. That thing's been up there. I don't know how many thousands of years. Let's
Weren't they
safing
standing
this up.
before bolts?
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Maybe they kind of put some glue in there so they don't really fall. Because like a fat ass like me, leaning up against one and not going over. It wasn't me.
Well, another solution I read talked a little bit about intent. Whatever was made, like what the intent of it was made for, and even if you replace the parts, it's still doing whatever it was originally intended to do. We should probably cut this soon, but it's still doing whatever it was originally intended to do. So even if you replace the parts, it's still fundamentally the same thing because it's fulfilling the same purpose.
But it's restored.
But it's restored, but it's still whatever purpose it originally was. It's still doing that. But that was more of an older, I think 1600s or whatever, when that thought came about.
That's true too. How much? Well, they still can actually make it better from when they did it because they had new technology. Well, as new as it could be as the 1700s. But yeah, I hear you, man. See, I hate it every time. Every time I hear segments, man, I don't have a buzz no more, man. I gotta get another beer, man.
I gotta go pee now. Actually, yeah, I always have to go pee after that.
Yeah, you know what? What do you say? We get a commercial break here.
I'll call him.
I want to prove a rock is smarter than me.
Yeah, good job, you. Never wasn't bad at stopping.
Yeah, I'll do a commercial break here.
For man-sized pleasure, this is the one. Get pleasure, false man size. The most refreshing beer a thirsty man can pour. Yet light enough to leave room for more.
Man-sized pleasure. Every premium quality Falstaff you pour. Falstaff always takes extra care to make the finest beer possible. Even to cascading every brew over the Falstaff chilling tower, instantly icing down each brew to protect that famous premium quality taste every step of the way, till it's safely capped in and you're ready to enjoy it. Satisfying to your man-sized thirst, light enough to leave room for more.
For man-sized pleasure, this is the one. Premium quality Falstaff beer.
And we're back. All right, guys.
Yeah, let's Uber it.
Let's get yeah.
Man, why would we get
Let's
that
Uber it up there.
All right.
Jasmine?
Get all Uber up in here.
When you need a ride, when every second counts, where mints and bottled water are always free, there's only one guy to call. Uber Dave. Time to Uber it.
A little
Now that
Uber
we're
time.
sober and don't need an Uber.
I know, right?
Hope it's still funny.
Right. Well, I tell you what, this guy needed an Uber, man, and speaking of sober, this guy was not. Man, I tell you what, okay.
You should start driving Ian with you.
Oh my God! Yeah, sober up these people. I tell you what, man.
Ian the bus killer.
You could just come from the back seat.
Yeah, come out of the. Yeah, we have a third row in there, man. Just come, sneak up. Hey, let me tell you a little something. So we all know creepy crawlies are all coming out, and for you Uber drivers out there, it's time to second guess who the hell you're picking up. With all the masks and costumes and all that other junk, you know, you don't even know if they're guys or girls or maybe even real ghosts. I mean, who knows? So,
You try ghosts?
oh man, there you go. Yeah.
Tell him large.
Yeah, and then I returned her jacket to her house. Her dad said she was dead.
Let's go see her grave.
Yeah, it's in the backyard.
Yeah.
And there was a code. Yeah. I'm sorry, Dave.
Man, no, that's cool. All right, so I picked up this drunk guy going to a Halloween party. I mean, you know,
yes, sir.
pretty standard stuff. Man, this guy was dressed, man, full on zombie gear. He had, you know, the white contact lenses and blood and torn flesh and all that good stuff. Man, I don't know, but man, well, okay, on the flip side of him looking all decked out, man, his clothes were dirty, ripped, man, they were ripped to shreds, man. I mean, but this guy looked more like a homeless zombie. I mean, it didn't look cool. I mean, the context, yeah, but the rest of it,
It
man.
was just a homeless guy.
You know what?
It was really bleeding.
I know. It was real blood. Man, but the other thing too, man, that guy didn't. Man, he smelled it bad, dude. I mean, it smelted.
no.
That's not a word. You know, I'm drunk.
No, I mean, smelted is a word.
Is it?
Not in this context, though.
Okay.
What was he eating?
Well, no. Man, the guy could eat. No, he could use some Mentos in the shower, man. I mean, dude. And a golden shower might have freshened him up a little bit, man. It was that bad. Man. Just like, but the guy smelled bad, man. Or cilantro. You could rub some cilantro on him, dude. But anyway, so I'm driving this guy to his party, man. He's going to this party. And then, you know, I'm trying to be all cool. I'm trying to talk to the guy. So I started trying to make conversation. I was like, I couldn't make out what the guy was saying. I was like, dude, you know.
It was a real zombie.
No, I know. I guess so. Exactly. Yeah, see, I don't know what the guy was. I couldn't tell that.
Rings.
I don't know if he was trying to stay in context or if he was, just drunk. I mean, I was like,
Playing the park.
Stay in character.
I was like,
Can smell the
dude, man.
breath from the front.
Yeah, so I'm like, hey, I try to ask him stuff like, hey, how's it going? Looking forward to your party, or have you brushed your teeth today? Have you taken a shower this week? I mean, I was like, dude, man, I gave up on this combo because the guy was like, I just didn't understand what the hell he was saying. So the rest of the ride, man, I was like, it was kind of quiet, but the guy kept grunting, like making these weird noises. I'm like, what the hell is this guy? Is he drunk? He couldn't breathe, or I was like, I don't know what. The dude was just like, he was weird, man, some weird dude, man. And man, he kept on making a lot of noise, and like he was having trouble breathing, I guess. Or I was like, oh man, I'm like, dude. So the guy stunk bad. He had ripped clothes. I'm like, he couldn't breathe.
So bad he couldn't breathe.
Drunk. I was like,
Open the window. That's all I understood.
I was like, man, if the dude died, man, I'll just pull over somewhere and just roll him out the back and just keep driving. So I was like, screw that, man. But man, after about 20 minutes driving to his party, I'm doing air quotes now too.
Oh, yeah. I love those things, yeah.
So we drive, I go to the west side, man, it's in a bad neighborhood, man. Man, I pull up, there's this one fat chick sitting on the porch, dressed as Pocahontas, drinking a 40. Man, no music going. There's nobody else there, so it's definitely like there's no party. It's just one fat chick there with her big 40, man. I'm like,
Yeah, that's a party right there. It depends how you look at it, man.
Ron Jeremy.
There you go. So the guy gets out of the car, man. You know what? He tosses me a $20 bill. I'm like, cha-ching. I'm like, man, nice, dude. A tip, that's a tip. Because you get paid with Uber, you get paid through the app. So whatever they give you money-wise, I'm like, all right, cool.
Wow, awesome.
Yeah. So I'm like, 20, man. That's rare, man. I got a 20 one other time before. And same thing. The guy thought I just was some poor Mexican dude, man, and he was
probably
like,
so drunk he didn't realize it was 20.
No, you know what? You're probably right. The guy probably didn't even know it was a $20 bill, man. But man, he walks out and he starts staggering towards Pocahontas, all cool, trying to live.
He's a buffet.
Yeah. And I'm like,
Don't bother with the salad.
Man.
Go to the main course.
Man. So there I'm like, yeah, sweet.
It tastes like Werther's.
No, so I start driving away, man. Man, I swear. It still stunk, though. I'm like, what the hell? This dude's he's off my car already, man. I roll down the windows, man. I'm driving for like 5 minutes, man. Rolling back up. I got the AC on because it's too hot. And so I roll him back up. Man, it stinks still. And man, sure enough, man, I turned back and there it was, man. I took a shit in my car. I was like, oh, man. I was like, so anyway, after all that driving and stuff, I'm like, I'm putting up with this guy. Dude, I know, man. And there's like a big strip, man, right there. Just like he smudged. I'm like, dude. Well, the guy got 1 star, and that was the end of the night, man, because I was like, man, I can't ride like that, man. I mean, screw that.
Disgusting. But that's what I spent the 20
on. Yeah, I know, exactly.
I had to put another 20 down.
Yeah, exactly.
And then turns out that Chuck E. Cheese's face where Andrew Jackson should be. Man, that's messed up.
It was horrible, man. I was like, that was anyway.
So, Uncle Mike, is it true that when you die, you do, like, poop yourself?
Yeah, some of them do.
So maybe that's what happened.
Maybe he did die for a little bit.
He was a zombie. You know what? Honest to God, they call it death shit. Honest to God. Yep, not making that up. Death shit.
You know, man, my big ass is gonna have to look for somebody.
All of us, yeah.
Why did he shit himself when he saw Pocahontas, man?
It could have been, man. Like, just like, you know what, this guy doesn't need $20, man. But you know what?
This lady told me she looked like J-Lo.
Like Janet Jackson.
So the 3 Janet Jacksons were there. But they're eating some candy, some
Did
Werther's.
you have to go use a...
That's what $20 went to, right?
Yeah, I had to go to because, man, if I would have went home with a car like that, I mean, that's our only vehicle. So, I got kids and a wife, and I probably would not have been welcome home. I can tell you that, man, with that car, man.
Leather or cloth?
No, I got leather. Leather interior. Yeah, you know what? That's true, man. If it were cloth, that would have been worse, man.
Disinfected?
Never heard of disinfectant?
Serious question. Was it still the same seat that it was before?
There you go.
Oh, that's a good one, man. Now you're boggling my mind.
My mind has been
Yeah, it was. There was still shit on that seat.
It's still the same.
Oh. Nah, but that was gross, man. That's like, you know what? Those are like the 2 things when you're an Uber driver. It's like somebody either taking a dump or throwing up, man. It's like those 2 are just enough to like make you just call it quits, man.
Though, right?
Oh, it's rare. It's very rare. I mean, for me at least, I don't know. I bet you there's other people that out there probably got
take a shit in his car.
Yeah, well,
That's crazy.
I know.
I mean, I need to go.
Yeah.
I guess if you tip good enough, man, right? Yeah, you just, hey.
Not no 20, man.
Hey, wait a minute, asshole, man.
Yeah, you get paid through the app by distance
So you don't get
and time.
I get hazard pay. Like if I'm doing a
Well, you know what?
job.
No, that's the other thing too. I guess I should mention I do get paid. They will reimburse you for cleaning your car, like $75 or something, depending on how bad it is.
So take pictures of them. Like,
there you go. Exactly.
Dude, there's a shit in my backseat.
No, it's not Dairy Queen chocolate.
Oh, dude, then you gotta save that under your Google Drive, man. Back up in case later. What the fuck is this?
Shouldn't be.
And then you have to send it via Twitter. Publicly.
Shit in my backseat.
You're not convincing me to be an Uber driver.
Oh my god, that's funny.
We got one more story. And this is fun, man.
Yeah, this one was actually a story sent in by your cousin, right?
Your cousin, Kory, right?
Yeah,
He's actually my cousin.
My little ghost brother. It's like my little buddy. My little buddy. My little buddy.
because I grew up in the same small town that he's talking about.
Where's that at, if you don't mind?
And I feel like you'd mentioned Snob Hill a couple of times.
Remember you guys
Snob Hill
went there with me, and I wanted to take you guys. I asked my mom for directions.
Or
Dayton.
Dayton.
Where my mom's house was, and I asked for directions, and I don't think we ever went. I don't think we had time. We didn't even get to go to Seattle. But it was creepy, man. That hill was real creepy. It was humongous houses that looked haunted. And actually, there was a field next to one of the houses. I think that's what he's mentioning in the story. There's a field next to one of the houses. Should I speak more into this?
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, go for it. Sorry.
A little preface.
There's a field next to one of the houses, and it had like archway-looking things and stuff all made out of like plywood. And it had like, it almost looked like Day of the Dead stuff, like painted on it. And it had like, it had words. I don't remember what it said or nothing, but I remember I'd go with my brothers and sisters and cousins and friends, and we'd go up there just to check it out. But we get creeped out, man. It was like a cul-de-sac up there.
But is it called Snob Hill?
Snob Hill, yeah.
Snob?
They call them, I guess.
Is it because they're all rich people there? Yeah. That's what I mean. They're like a bunch of rich people there.
To make it known that they were wealthy. Like they drive through town with their nice cars, and we're all broke in little houses down in the town down there.
Okay.
It's a funny hill. It's all that town was all covered by hills and mountains and hills were all like cornfields and stuff.
Man.
So we'll go ahead and
That's a nice area though, man.
Yeah.
let you read that story.
Get into it then.
Yeah.
Okay,
Check it out.
Read it to y'all.
All right, this story is from Jason. It's called My Little Ghost Brother. It says, so we lived in a little town in Washington State called Dayton. This town was so small that you knew everybody that lived there and all of their business. There was also a constant creepy and eerie feeling this town always gave off. The town was surrounded by mountains and hills. On one particular hill, there was a road leading up to a small cul-de-sac with several very large, very creepy houses that all looked like they could be haunted. We called the hill with the cul-de-sac Snob Hill. The name was passed down for years because the original owners of the houses were all very wealthy people and loved to brag of their wealth. Halloween was a big holiday in this small town. Everybody would do their best to make their house and properties as spooky as possible for the few children in the town, except for the few spooky houses on Snob Hill. Decorations were usually up and finished on every home before the month of October even started. One year, one particular house stood out like a rotted thumbnail. It was Old Man Nichols' house up on Snob Hill, the only house that was known to have anybody living in it. It stood out because for the first time ever it was decorated for Halloween. Being curious children, me and my brothers and a few friends rode our bikes to Snob Hill all the way to the cul-de-sac to get a peek at Old Man Nichols' creation. The Snob Hill cul-de-sac was so eerie and creepy, none of us actually built the nerve to go to the end to Old Man Nichols' house. The next morning, I went to the only corner store in town to get me and my brothers a 25-cent Tootsie Pop and saw Old Man Nichols posting flyers near the counter at the corner store. I grabbed a flyer and took the candy and flyer home to my brothers. The flyer read, Free Haunted House and Halloween Candy on October 31st, and it had Old Man Nichols' address posted on it. I was excited but afraid at the same time. Old Man Nichols had a distinctive creepiness about him and normally hated for anyone to disturb him, especially children. I had heard stories in the past that Old Man Nichols had a son once of his own that he had lost to some disease. Halloween was approaching and we were getting our costumes ready. My little brother's favorite costume was an old white sheet my mother cut eye holes into to make a ghost. He wore it almost every year, and me and my oldest brother were always creepy clowns. Halloween came and me and my brothers decided to do our usual trick-or-treating and to make our way up Snob Hill to see what the hype was about. With all the children on the cul-de-sac on Snob Hill at this time, it was easier to work the courage up to go to the end to Old Man Nichols' house. We were last in line for the haunted house. My younger brother, the ghost, decided he didn't want to do the haunted house and walked back down Snob Hill with some friends. My oldest brother went before me. As I walked through the haunted house, I was actually pretty impressed with the amount of work Old Man Nichols put into this house. It looked as if it was professional and had been used before. When I exited through the haunted house into the backyard, I noticed all the children had left to the front of the house, including my oldest brother. I went around to the front and saw all the kids and my oldest brother already quite a ways down the cul-de-sac. When I was approaching the street, I had heard a voice from behind me. How did you like it? When I turned, I saw my brother, the ghost, behind me. I told him, I thought you weren't going to go through the house, scaredy cat. He replied, that's my job. I go through all the haunted houses. Then he turned and walked around the house to the backyard. I started to follow him and suddenly someone called to me and asked if I wanted more candy. I looked and standing at the front door was Old Man Nichols. He said he had leftover candy and wanted to know if I wanted it because it would go to waste. I told him, sure, thanks, but I was going to go get my brother first. He went to the back. Old man Nichols replied, "There's nobody back there. I already shut it down and locked the gate to the back." I told him, "Are you sure?" I saw my brother go around the house. He took me back there to check. Nobody was in the back, and Mr. Nichols' gates were so high they were nearly impossible to jump or climb over. I told him, "That's weird. My brother was dressed as a ghost, and I could have swore I saw him walk back there." Mr. Nichols paused and had a look of distress come over him. He asked me, "A ghost, you said?" I replied, "Yes, my brother. He loves to dress as a ghost every Halloween." He told me to wait here for a second. He came back out of the house with a large photo album. He showed me the pictures of what seemed to be a younger him with a small boy. He told me it was his son and he loved Halloween and everything to do with it. He explained to me they traveled the United States with their personally made mobile haunted house. He said to me, "My son, he loved to go through any and every haunted house. And being as young as he was, I didn't want him to have to work at my mobile haunted house. So I told him that exploring all the other haunted houses and searching for new ideas was his job." Mr. Nichols turned to the next page in the album, and it was a picture of him and his son with a white sheet draped over him, standing in front of the haunted house that I just walked through. I told Mr. Nichols, "Wow, he's dressed just like my brother." He replied, "Yes, he loved that costume, and this was the final haunted house I ever made him. The one you see before you. I made it for him, my son, because he became too ill to travel and explore other haunted houses. I made one here at home for him and changed the interior as often as I could to make him feel as if it's a new one every time." I told Mr. Nichols, "Thank you for the experience and the candy, but I need to get home," and I leapt down the hill to get back home and check to see if my brothers made it. When I got home, I saw my brothers. I asked my mom how long my younger brother had been home. She said for a while now. He said he didn't want to go through Old Man Nichols' haunted house. My little brother came in and asked me how the haunted house was. I asked him, "So you never went back up Snob Hill?" He replied, "No way, that place is creepy." I'm not sure who or what I saw after everyone left me at Old Man Nichols' house, but I do feel different about Snob Hill and Old Man Nichols himself. I tried to go visit Old Man Nichols after that Halloween, but he wasn't there and the house appeared vacant almost immediately after that night. Thank you for letting me share.
So yeah, man, that was it. That was from my cousin Jason.
Man, that's crazy, man.
That's some nutty stuff.
Yeah. It's great. I can vouch for all that too, man. Like I remember him telling me that story actually. Like I can't remember word for word like he sent it in, but it was.
That's crazy though, man.
Yeah, it was that hill, man, was just creepy. Like I said, I wanted to take them when we went and visit my parents, but
man, that would have been something to do. Do you think that old man would still be alive right now?
Yeah,
or
seriously, I say we do a drinking game every time he says Old Man Nichols.
I know, yeah. And it's weird because my grandparents' last name is Nichols.
What?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
My grandparents, my great grandparents.
Yeah, we need the Nichols and the Medals, man.
Oh yeah.
It was my great grandparents.
That's crazy. Yeah.
I forgot all about that.
Yeah, from the one side, but was that the only haunted spot in that area right there?
I couldn't tell you. I know they had some weird old buildings over there in Dayton, man, like the courthouse and the.
What about the courthouse? What about the courthouse?
Right.
Well, it was only one. It was weird because we went to Dayton, this small town. It's not so bad, especially where they live.
Tiny, man. You know everybody there when you live.
Wow.
There.
Yeah, I wouldn't like it.
Yeah.
They have they have that park right in the back. That's where it's supposed to be haunted. Is that park?
That one too? Yeah.
So
it's right over by the river, right?
Yeah. That's when it's supposed to be like some blue lady or something like that.
It's pretty cool too because there's like specific spots in the river where they leave like random rosaries. It's just, I know it's obviously a person that does it, but it's cool because like every time you go,
but like it's a ritual thing or whatever.
You just leave a little
or a cross.
That's actually the river I was baptized in.
Oh, really?
Yeah. That was my
the same river as it was back then.
Can you find that same water you were baptized in?
Not once I fell in it, it'll never be the same again.
They sent that shit out.
It's contaminated. Chernobyl more cleaner.
What do y'all think happened to the old man?
I don't remember that part. Like I remember trick or treating with my cousins and everything, but I don't remember.
Well, clearly in the story, it wasn't the brother.
A weird house up there
because the brother had been at home and he never ate.
Yeah. I mean, it wasn't.
So.
But then old man, he said that the old man talked about it when his son was younger. He wore the same costume, the ghost costume.
Yeah.
It was a ghost costume. It wasn't a hooded white sheet. No, but he talked about it.
Wasn't shaped like a cone.
Yeah. Just kidding. and then he said he seemed distressed when he talked about it being a ghost. His that his little brother dressed in a ghost costume, and he was pretty much almost like he knew it was his son. Walking back in the backyard, and he also said that he didn't want his son working with him on that traveling.
I wonder
house,
if he knew his son was already sick.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, no, he knew. He talked about how he knew he didn't want his son. He was too young to work with him, so his job. I'm doing air quotes. Yeah. His job was. His job. He told him, "Hey, your job," because he said his son loved going to haunted houses.
Right.
So he said, "Your job is to check all these other haunted houses out and get new ideas for ours." And so that's why I guess he made that last haunted house at his house for his son, and then he said something about when my cousin, when he thought it was his little brother going in the backyard, that
he said the little boy had said, "This is my job."
Yeah, he said, "Well, this is my job. I'm supposed to go through all the haunted houses." Because his little brother was actually too scared, and he went back home.
Right.
Like, hey, scaredy cat, what are you doing?
Yeah, that's
Why
crazy,
are you going to the
man.
haunted house?
Yeah.
So.
Man, that was a crazy one.
Yeah.
Dang, that was a good story, though, man.
I camped out. I don't remember Old Man Nichols' name or anything. I remember my grandparents' names were Nichols, but
it's the Mandela effect.
Yeah. But I do remember that house at the end of the cul-de-sac was creepy, and it had like a field next to it gated in with all that stuff that looked like Day of the Dead almost.
Right. Yeah.
And it was like an archway and big things that could have made.
I have so many questions. Like, why did he choose that year to do it?
Right.
I know.
Yeah.
I wish I could.
Or is it every year?
Right. Or they just didn't notice it.
Well, yeah. Like, did he ever? The old man. Did he ever reappear at the house? Like, because. Remember the end how they said like it was like everything just vanished?
Yeah,
like he was never there?
That was it. Like it was his last year
so, like,
or something.
Was it his last year, or maybe he's reappeared, but just to other people or something? Like,
And I remember we never trick or treated up there. It was like, and we didn't think nobody lived in those houses. There's like one or two that maybe had people living in them. You know what I mean? When we went back recently, Mom said, "Oh yeah, people bought all those houses and they remodeled them and." They're not the same house anymore.
So now they're nice.
Snobbier.
Yeah.
Snobbier hill.
Yeah. Snobbier hill. And next door is Snobbiest Hill.
I remember seeing like they described him. He made it seem like, oh, this guy's creepy. Like when they saw him at the corner store, I remember seeing all kinds of people that I just didn't want to talk to or mess with when I was younger. There, we could walk to the corner store. It was called Steve's, and we walked down there and. They had a whole jar of Tootsie Pops.
We did, and it was just an old store.
Yeah, it's still there, right?
Yeah,
we walked down. It was right down the street from our mom's house.
So wait a minute, this
Candies
place.
were like 15 cents.
I was gonna say this place was called. It's called Snobby
They're back
Hill.
from there to the same ones. Right?
It has a name for the road going up there. I can't remember.
Oh,
Because the roads were all like First Street, Second Street, Main Street.
I think that's just what people called it.
Yeah,
right?
they were like, oh, that lady was up there on Snob Hill.
Oh, okay,
Like
all right.
one street around up there with big houses.
Well, I was gonna say, I mean,
Come on,
it's
Hill.
Snob Hill, but they're giving out Tootsie Pops. I'd be like, nah, I better see some chocolates in there.
Yeah.
Oh shit, right?
The corner store that we would go to, it was Steve's, and the guy that owned it was named Steve.
Oh,
He had a
okay.
big jar always.
Oh, he-
and the little
okay,
Tootsie
he
Pops
did.
were like,
Sorry, yeah.
I can't remember, they were like 25 cents or 10 cents.
That's like
He said
us going to
25.
Alamo Hill. Wait, Alamo Heights.
Alamo Heights,
fucking
Yeah.
thing.
No, I don't know what kind of candy.
so mad.
Yeah, no kidding.
I remember what kind of candy they give.
Yeah, give me what is it?
Mint.
Werther's.
Yeah, peppermints.
Yeah, peppermints and Werther's. No, I'm just kidding.
Here, have a Tic Tac.
Yeah.
But
I think I would like the pecans though, man. I don't mind, man.
Yeah, I know,
A
right?
handful of pecans doesn't sound bad to me, man.
Oh man, no kidding.
But actually, that was really cool and Kory, man. I wish we
Try to
could go
squeeze
back
some more
there again.
stories out of my family up there, man.
All right,
that'd be
man.
cool,
Awesome,
man.
awesome.
you know what his mom actually sees? His mom's
She sees all kinds of stuff. The house they live in has a
Oh,
big
man, well, there you
basement,
go.
man. I gotta get some stories from her.
I mean,
There you go.
his mom's always like, and she's real cool about it. I mean, I don't know if I should even be bringing this up, but his mom's always like, oh, that's just grandma. She's just talking to me or something.
Yeah,
And his
my
grandma
grandma
had
passed away. They live in her house
That's
now,
just
so.
my grandma, or that's just my mom. She does this, or she likes to stop by every once in a while. So
Man.
She talks like it's normal. Like,
Dang, well, you can get some stories there, man. There you go.
she told me, she was like, I can tell you some, but I'm gonna have to write them down myself because.
Oh, that's cool, man. That's what we need stories.
Yeah.
What's that?
Yes, we do need
Yeah,
stories.
oh yeah, that's right. Man, if you guys got stories, please, man. You know what? We have a phone number in case y'all didn't know. What's that number, Rob?
That number is 210-901-8666. And remember, folks, that's a 2-minute call.
3
minutes.
Right?
Oh, shit, yeah, that's been that long there. It's a 3-minute call, beg your pardon. If you do have a story and it goes over 3 minutes, just please call back and just let us know what story you were talking about. Just let us know it's a continuation of that one. Yeah, we'll get to it. We'll edit it. We're real good at that, and We also have the website, Dave.
Yeah, the website, rigormortisparanormal.com, or if you want to write in your story, I know a lot of people are shy, or they may want to, they have it written down already and just want to email it to us. info@rigormortisparanormal.com. That's where you guys can reach us. We'd like to thank you guys for joining us tonight on this special Halloween edition with the whole gang.
Halloween.
Yeah, Halloween. Yay.
All the candies. So,
And it's been awesome too, man. We had really some
And
good.
thank you for coming out tonight.
Thank you, Mikey.
Right on.
Let's see what we can get the. I mean, that guy is like a Bigfoot sighting. My brother Steven.
I want to get into all that.
I haven't seen him in a while, but it'd be nice to get some of his stories.
Thanks again, guys, man. We really appreciate that.
Out there trick or treating, don't get beat up.
Don't get beat up.
And if you get beat up, don't cry.
Don't tell your dad.
Yeah, don't tell your dad.
Tell your
If
mom.
they throw you a hot dog.
If they throw you a hot dog, throw it right back in there. If they throw you a hot dog, it's probably just Placito.
That's right.
Or Ron Jeremy. Air quotes.
There we go. Got him in. So be safe, and we're hoping you guys learned something tonight.
Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween.
Air quotes.